I know you like. Good evening. Welcome to Women of Grace Community Awareness and Education session. We're so glad that you could make it. I'd like to share with you a few things that we're going to talk about this evening. First, I have a question for you. Are you experiencing violence in your life, or do you know someone that's experiencing violence in their life? Then I usually ask that question. I get about 3/4 of the people saying yes. I have a message for you. If you're experiencing violence, or you know someone that's experiencing violence, there is help. And I want you to remember this scripture, Hosea 4:6. My people perish for lack of knowledge. And sometimes we're experiencing things and we don't know where to go for help. But that's why we're having our community awareness and education sessions, to make you aware and inform you where you can go for help. Tonight we're going to have a presentation, but just before we have the presentation, we will open up the chat room for you to ask questions, and once you ask questions, we will respond to those questions. Without further ado, I'm going to bring on someone that I admire very much, and I love her very much. Her name is Sonia Scott. It's Lady Sonia Scott. She's the First Lady of the Lively Stone Church. Lady Sonia, are you there?
I am here.
Great, great. Lady Sonia is going to talk a little bit about our organization, GEO Community Development Corporation and Women of Grace, and then she's going to introduce our guests for this evening. Thank you, Lady Sonia.
Thank you, Sister Thank you, Sister McQueen. Thank you for that lovely introduction. Women of Grace. Women of Grace endeavors to reduce domestic and sexual violence by providing supportive and advocacy services to victims that promote stabilization, healing, and wholeness. The program was developed in 2003 under GEO Community Development Corporation in St. Louis, Missouri, where Bishop Lee Scott is the CEO, Myron Gray is the executive director, and Gloria McQueen is the program director of Women of Grace. If you would like more information about Women of Grace, go to their website, which is wogww.org. That's wogww.org. You can go to the website and you'll be able to get more information on what Women of Grace is about and what they're doing for the community. They're doing some great things in the community, and we appreciate all that they're doing. If you need resources, Women of Grace is your place. So I am also here to introduce the one and only Ebenezer Lane, also known as Lady E. Lady E, she is a woman of faith and love with a passion for empowering people. She is a native of Chicago, Illinois, and she now resides in St. Louis, Missouri. And we're grateful that St. Louis has the opportunity to have her as a part of our community. She has been a source of inspiration to countless young ladies and women of all ages for over 40 years. In September of 2005, she became the founder of Imagery International Incorporated, a nonprofit organization empowering women to walk in their purpose and tap into their untapped potential. Lady E's ability to empower women comes from countless obstacles she has overcome in her life, which allows her to relate and reach those who are going through the same or similar issues. Lady E is an elevation empowerment expert. And she will let us know, I will guess, in her presentation. I would like to know, what exactly is an elevation empowerment expert? And her brand is Defy Limits. She is a proud member of the John Maxwell team, offering masterminds, master classes, speaking, and coaching for individuals and organizations in personal growth and leadership training. Lady E is also a singer, a songwriter, a gospel recording artist who has, to her credit, 5 sound recordings that have inspired and uplifted the hearts of many. She has many awards, received many accolades, and has traveled extensively throughout the United States, South Africa, and Europe. Lady E is the wife of Mr. Austin A. Lane Jr. She is the mother of 2 children and the Gigi, that's gorgeous granny of 6 grandsons. God has also blessed her with many children of all ages, male and female, who she did not birth, but who lovingly call her Mama Niza. I present to all this wonderful woman who's going to give us some wonderful things today to help us, Lady E.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Lady Scott. I appreciate that. And thank you so much for having me. I count it an honor and a privilege to be with you today and to be able to elevate and empower women or men or anyone who have ears to hear what will be said. So thank you again for having me. And again, I count it a privilege. You asked what elevation empowerment expert is. I empower people to elevate, to go from here, to defy limits and to rock their moxie unapologetically and walk in their calling and do everything that they do on purpose and in the purpose that God um, put them in this earth to be. And so it's all about elevation and transformation for me. So again, I'm happy to be here. And today we're talking about domestic violence. And I don't know if the slide is up or coming up or not. I had some slides. Yes. Today we're talking about domestic violence as we are embarking on Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is in the month of October. So we're just a few days early kicking this off, and I think that it is so needed and so relevant for so many people because you never know what people are going through, and there are a lot of people who are suffering in silence. And I believe it's time to sound the alarm and give the devil a black eye. And I think it's time for those who are experiencing domestic violence that, first of all, they become aware of what domestic violence really is, because some people think that um, domestic violence is if somebody is striking or pushing or beating you, as you see in the slide. It's not limited to um, hitting and pushing and shoving and choking or having someone at gunpoint or uh, sexual violence or anything physical. It's not just limited to that. Um, and I kind of put domestic violence in the same, it is abuse. And I put it in the same category as molestation because molestation is any violation of a person's being. So somebody can destroy you and come against you, not only physically, but psychologically. They can come against you emotionally. Person can really mess up your mindset. by the words they speak verbally, putting you down. So any of those things are a violation of who God said you are. And so many people end up believing the lie. And I'm here to bust it up and say, don't believe the lie. You are who God said you are, and you have a responsibility to um, you have a responsibility to be who God called you to be. And it is not to be beaten up on, and definitely not for you to get it twisted that it's about just somebody. Well, he didn't hit me. Well, he didn't push me down. He didn't choke me. Well, he never put a gun up to my head. Or, we make excuses and all of those kind of things. Let's get it straight. Let's get it straight. Let's talk about what domestic violence is, what it looks like, be able to identify it, become aware, stop sleeping on yourself, stop sleeping on your job, because your job is you. Um, Anytime a person, any person, um, comes against you to control your mind, your spirit, and your body and your well-being, it's a disservice to you to accept and to reason with anyone who crosses that line. And so you decide, what is the deal breaker for me? How far am I willing to go with this? How far? How much am I willing to deal with? And then you have to ask yourself, why am I dealing with this? Because at the end of the day, you need to know who you are. And for those of you that know someone who is going through this, if you can get them to become aware, instead of just telling them, don't do this, don't do that, that's the last thing people hear. We all have a tendency to buck up against authority or an authoritative voice for some reason, because in some way we have our reason for doing whatever we do. But one of the things I said, how it's a disservice to you to accept and reason. So here's the thing. To reason with the fact that you see the good in another person and they don't see it in themselves, you're not in a position to be their savior. You're not in a position to save them or to heal them. And honestly, you're not necessarily in the position to rescue them. That's God's business. But you are God's business and you are your business. And so one of the other things I want to talk about is real estate. Real estate, when I say real estate, I'm not talking about brick and mortar. I'm talking about you. Real estate plays an integral role in the economy of you. Real estate drives the economy in our world, real estate, okay? But inside of you, okay, your body, mind, and spirit is your residence, and you didn't have to purchase it. It's a gift. It's a purposeful gift, and it's your greatest source of wealth. Maybe you didn't know this. Maybe you didn't think about this because you're so busy looking outside of yourself. It's comes a time that you have to look inside of yourself. You need to look at yourself. You need to learn how to appreciate this wonderful, magnificent piece of real estate that is only temporal, okay? But while you're here, you need to be able to appreciate that real estate, take care of that real estate, because it's a purposeful gift. You didn't have to purchase it. There's a lot of things you had to pay a price for in this life while you're living in your body. However, it's a purposeful gift. You're here for a reason. And one thing none of us are here for is to be beat on or to be beat down or to be talked down to or to be neglected in any way. None of us are made for that. That's not what God put us here. for. He put us here for his glory. And we need to walk in a way that people can see the glory of God through us. But first, we have to become aware and know who we are. I wrote something and I want to share this with you. But before I do that, yeah, I'm going to go on and read this. I'm going to read this. It's called The Purposeful Gift. And this is just an excerpt of something I wrote a couple of years ago and shared with the ladies of Imagery International in one of our sessions. And it was called The Purposeful Gift. But at the end, I stopped doing the lifting of them and I turned it inwards to me. And I want to share this with you because sometimes it's good for somebody to understand that you haven't always had it like that, or that you had to go through a process yourself, and then they can receive what it is you have to say. And I know we're talking about domestic violence, and I'm not going to go personal with domestic violence, but I will tell you, I'm not a victim of domestic violence right now, but I have experienced some awful situations in my life that I'm not necessarily going into right now. But I'm going to read this to you. And this is what I wrote. I said, who would have thunk I, Enezer, meaning rock of help, stone of help, would be sitting here in front of you, open and visible for the world to see? I didn't. I grew up in a very religious background where there were only three places we went: home, church, and school. When I was allowed to go outside, that was an event. Everything was a sin. And the love of Christ was presented to me with an ironing cord and the word no. Real talk, y'all. All of the negativities were embedded in my mind. They were embedded in my mind from childhood throughout a huge chunk of my adult life. And I'm talking in my late 40s. Throughout a huge chunk of my adult life, until I realized I was here for a purpose. But it was after a failed attempt to end my life. I attempted to end my life and I woke up. God let me wake up. After I woke up and realized it did not work, I wasn't happy. And the true love of Christ said to me, my grace, women of grace. He said, my grace is sufficient. In my angst, I learned to live one breath at a time and know that each breath is life to me. I learned that I wasn't God in my own life. And since I failed to accomplish my death, I realized my life was a gift. And the burning desire within me that I had been oozing, even when I was unaware, it was my purpose. I am a purposeful, Full, gift. I am, and I want you all, while I'm reading, as I'm finishing this, if you have a pen, just write I am and just draw a line. And when we get done with this call, I want you to fill in the blank, fill in the paper, because it's so much more than just a one-liner. But you can find a one line that is meaningful, that says in a nutshell what your purpose is. I am a purposeful gift. I am, this is me, the express image of I am, that's God, in me. And then I am my husband's girlfriend. I am my children's mother. I am my grandchildren's Gigi. That means gorgeous granny. I am a recording artist with 5 albums. I'm a lyricist. I'm a writer. I'm a leader. I'm a confidant. I'm a coach. I'm a trainer. I'm a speaker. I'm a founder of a nonprofit organization. I'm a vice president of a mortuary. And wait for it, I am a high school dropout. I had to go through some things in my life. There have been many, many losses. And I believed that I wasn't anything, meaning I kind of settled for a lot of things that I didn't have to settle for because I didn't believe in myself. When I talk about your real estate, the economy of you, you have to know that you are a purposeful gift. And the most valuable gift you will ever have is the gift of you. You didn't have to pay for it. You didn't ask to be here, but you were a thought in the mind of God. How dare you? How dare you squander that by allowing someone to violate your being, your real estate, come into your house and wreak havoc in your mind, in your spirit? How dare you do that? It's a disservice to you. You're so much more. You're so much more. I say this with passion. I say this because I believe in you. I don't know who you are, but I want you to know I believe in you. I don't believe there's anything that you cannot conquer because of the love of Christ. Whether you live for him or whether you don't, he loves you anyway. And whatever he has allowed in your life, it's for you to have a greater, much greater testimony. When you get through with this, things are going to look so much better. So let me just say this. We all have a story, but it's not about the evils that has happened in our lives. It's about how we've dealt with them to overcome. How are you dealing with any kind of abuse, any kind of violence? How are you dealing with that? I encourage you to inspect. This is what happens with real estate when we just purchased a home. And in real estate, when you go to purchase a house, there has to be an inspection. So I encourage you to inspect and appraise your real estate. Know what you have. Get to know who you are. Know what you're worth. There's a song that said, he thought I was worth saving, and he sacrificed my life. He thought I was worth keeping, and he cleaned me up inside. He thought I was to die for. Come on. So I can be free, so I can be whole, so I can tell everyone I know, come on. Don't you know? If you don't know, get to know. Become aware. Ask God to help you. You look in the mirror and say, hey, I am. I don't care what the superficial look like. Let's go deep. You can say what you think you look like, but when you finish tearing yourself down, look again. Open your mouth and let God speak through you and tell you who you really are, what you're really for, that you are a purposeful gift. Okay? My tagline is rock your Moxie. That means grit, determination, courage. My name is Denise. I defy limits and I rock my Moxie. When I tell you nobody hits me, nobody hits me. I stand up for me. I take care of this real estate. It's precious. If I don't have anything else, I have me. Come on, y'all. All right. Let me finish this up. I'm gonna wrap it up because I'm getting crunk, okay? I'm getting crunk. Okay. So your real estate. Don't rent your real estate. Don't rent it out to other people. Don't prostitute yourself. And don't let nobody pimp you. Real talk. Some of you are dealing with domestic violence and don't even realize it. Who's gotten in your face and said, and told you how stupid you were, where you felt their spit on your face, and you walked away like a dog with their tail tucked in, and you felt like you could have just crawled up under a rock? That's abuse, especially if it's in your household. It's domestic violence. Stand up and be counted. But when you stand up, because there's some cray people out there, okay, who will take you out, and you won't get to tell the story. So use wisdom. If you're in a bad situation, get yourself a strategic plan. The Bible talks about the cunning women and the wise women. Come on, tap into you. Tap into your real estate. See what's in that body. See what's in your mind. See what you're capable of. Take it. Take inventory. Use what you have. Be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. And I say that because I believe you're worth it. So don't rent it, own it. You decide who has access into your real estate, why they have access, if they are worthy of access, and how them having access to your real estate will best serve you and increase your value. Because if it doesn't increase your value, it's going to decrease. And I serve a God, you serve a God who's the God of increase. Walk in your power, rock your moxie. Speak life to you. Jesus is your only Savior. It is not incumbent on us to rescue the bird with the broken wing when we have compassion for it and see its potential to fly. There are some phenomenal people out there who are not walking in their calling, and they're frustrated and they're beating the crap out of a lot of women. It's not your place to be their savior. Physician, heal thyself. Walk in your calling. Get a strategic plan. And if it's not you and you know someone else who is dealing with this, share this with them, because they're worth it. You do this because you're worth it. And I think I'm going to stop at that, because that's all I have for now. Be true to yourself. And I will say this in closing. The power lies within you to be healed, to be whole, to be set free. What you need, you already have. Defy limits and rock your moxie. Lady Sonia, Gloria, thank you all so much. Let me finish this. I always end with this one thing. My name is Denise, and I defy limits. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lady E. Wow.
Thank you.
I have comments. Lady Sonia, I'll let you go first.
Lady E, I love the way you paralleled the real estate with our bodies, ourself, our being. I love the way, and I love what you said about when you go to purchase real estate, a home, there's an inspection and an appraisal. And we need to inspect ourselves and appraise ourselves. What do you think you're worth?
Amen.
What do you think you're worth? Because if you think now we always say you can't put a price on a human being, you can't put a price on, but if you think you are worth whatever, you're going to take care of it. If I'm going to purchase a home and I'm paying $500,000 for 300, 200, I am going to value that thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to value it. And so I just love the way you put those two together. I would never think to put real estate with valuing myself or whatever. There's just so many things in there about the real estate And I'm like, oh my goodness, I would never think about that. But when you brought it out, I was like, yes, this is what we need to grab hold to. We need to have some self-worth.
That's right.
Don't rent your stuff out. We're not to be pimped. Don't rent it out. We're not to be pimped. That is not what God put us here for. But I
Mhm.
just love it. I love it. It's just so many things, and I could just go on with all different takeaways that I have. But I'm not going to take up time. I'm going to let Sister McQueen. But I want to thank you. I thank you, and I appreciate you coming on and having this talk with us, this conversation, this time with us to talk about the violence that we don't have to take because God didn't put us here for that. He
That's
didn't
right.
put us here for that. And thank you.
Wow. It's just awesome. There were so many takeaways from what you gave us, Lady E, and I appreciate you for sharing and being authentic with us this evening. And you said to write down, I am whatever we thought. I had so many I ams going, but this, and now I'm going to hold mine up so we can respond to some of the questions that are coming in. One of the questions that is on that came in a lot of times. The question is from Myron Gray. A lot of times, men are victims and face the same types of emotional and psychological ills as women. Can you address this wisdom from a male perspective?
Absolutely, I can. I was trying not to go there. Uh, I, Myron, thank you for that question because, and it's so very relevant. Women are not the only victims of domestic violence. And I would dare to say that 90% of the women that are on this thing might have to say, ouch, because a woman will haul off and slap a man when she get angry. A woman will really destroy a man's ego and make him question his manhood verbally with her mouth and just cause a man to completely shut down. We are not exempt from committing domestic violence. And so, Myron, you are correct. A lot of times men are victims and face the same types of emotional and psychological ills as women. And I have seen it happen where the man was just, I knew the different people before they met a particular lady, and then all of a sudden I saw them later and I recognized his face. His countenance was not brilliant like it used to be. And you could tell, even just in body language, in so many ways, that whether she popped him upside the head, can I talk in real talk? Whether she popped him, but a lot of women do that. They hit a man because they believe certainly he's not going to hit me back because I'm a woman. And that's wrong. And then they'll turn around and push the man a little bit over the edge. And before they know it, they're on their face. And then they want to go to the emergency room and report them and put them in jail for domestic violence. But they don't take in account of the fact that they've been popping him all along. And it's not right. So this goes both ways. It goes every way. It's not right. And I think one of the worst things a woman can do is strip a man of his manhood, no matter how angry you are. No matter, I believe there is a cutoff point. I know that we can speak out of anger. I know sometimes we can speak out of spite, especially if it's been dished out to us. I know some of us got a short fuse. Not me. I know I know some of us have a short fuse, and it's certain things that just push our button and just make us respond in a negative way. But ladies, there's some things that shouldn't even be a part of your real estate. It shouldn't even live in your mind. And even if it come to your mind, just because it come to your mind doesn't mean it have to come out of your mouth. I don't want to live in a world without men. And I don't want to live in a world without a manly man who knows how to stand up for themselves.
Say that.
So I, to strip a man of his manhood, women, you are more powerful than you realize. And there are a lot of men who don't know who they are anymore because our mouths have torn them down. And they know that if we're hitting them and they hit us back, they know it's over. I'm going to stop at that. Is that okay, Brother Myron? I hope that helped.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's saying yes, it did. There is a saying, it's an unknown author, I don't know who started it, says that if you don't get healed from your hurt, then you bleed on people that didn't even cut you.
Yes.
And that's true. So we're here to talk about people, to let you know there is a healing process you need to go through. And if you're not healed, then you keep on hurting other people. Hurting people hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that. So this is just awesome, and we appreciate you. Any other questions should be coming in if we have them. Lady Eve, we want to thank you for coming with us tonight and talking to us about there's another way. We don't have to allow, as Lady Sonia brought out as well, allow our real estate to be violated.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to stand for that. And we were wonderfully made, and within ourselves, we have to know, we have to have the self-confidence that we can do better. We can get help. There is help. And sometimes people don't know where to go. I want to remind you to go to our website for Women of Grace. It's wogww.org. There's a lot of information there. And if you need our help, you can contact us. I think Lady E has some information on one of her slides too about some of the things that you're offering, Lady. Is that right?
I have a slide with my contact information on it. And I have a slide that just tells about Imagery, my nonprofit organization, and what our mission is.
Okay.
But that's the slide with the contact information. I am Imagery International is the nonprofit organization, women's empowerment organization that we have. And it's all about imagery, looking in the mirror, knowing who you are and walking in your calling. And Defy Limits is my business, my coaching and speaking business. And that's the information of that. That's Defy Limits, Rock Your Moxie. So
I love that saying. There's a question on the board from Sherry Webb. Her question is, Lady E, why do you think victims sometimes return to or stay with their abuser? That's a good question.
I believe a lot of that has to do with mindset. I think it has to do with when you don't know your worth, you can fall down that rabbit hole and think that that's the only answer for you, or that's the only person for you. Many women allow themselves to get a soul tie for whatever reason, or allow a person to control them, whether it's with suggestive thought or they just allow people to control them. But I think the common denominator of that is they don't know who they are. They have no esteem or low self-esteem. When you know who you are, you walk in confidence. And there are some things that are deal breakers that will keep you from being who you really, really are. And so some people also, if they were raised in an environment of that, like that, there's a spirit, I call it a spirit of familiarity. That's what they were used to before. It's a comfort zone for whatever reason. There is pain. People are comfortable in pain. I think it's a mentality. And it's not anything that I'm looking down on, because unfortunately this is real. There's mental illness. There are people who uh, truly don't think they're worth any more than what they have. And so they settle and they accept it, and it becomes normal. And when they're away from it, they actually miss it. That's psychological. And I pray for, that's the reason I talked about, I use that word awareness. A lot of people are, there's a show called The Walking Dead. There are dead people walking because they're dead to themselves.
Thank you, Lady E. We have a couple more questions coming up. And there was a statement made by Darlene Elliott, which I'd like to read. She said, someday, sometimes some stay in relationships because of fear. How do we break loose from fear? But what I want to say, there is a saying by our president that you have nothing to fear but fear itself. So before we answer her question, there was another question up.
Yes, how can we add value to our
Okay, so we're going to go to that one. I'm sorry. How can we add value to our real estate? I want to know that one.
So be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. First of all, if your head is sick, your whole body is sick. Your real estate, okay? If the head is sick, the whole body is sick. Half of us only use 10% of our brain, of not our brain, of our mind, our capacity to think, to reason. And I believe that one thing is to be willing to grow, to be willing to learn, to be willing to awaken your consciousness. Stop being the walking dead. There are people who are living and not breathing. See, some real estate is ill kept because it's not taken care of. It's not cleaned. It's not swept. It's not upgraded. It's not updated. You know, what worked for you 20 years ago, that might not, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to work for you right now for your real estate. Okay. Your real estate is getting older. There's some changes. There's some shifting that you have to do. If you want to add value to your real estate, you have to keep your real estate up, but mainly your mindset. Set your mind on things above. Set your mind on those things, whatsoever things are lovely, so whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are of a good report. If there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. See yourself bigger, greater than you've been. Be willing to unwrap the purposeful gift that's in there. You still got a bow on the gift. It's in the house. It's in the real estate. Unwrap it. Let it go. Rock your Moxie.
There's another question up by, is it Lee? Lycian Lobster, am I saying that correct? I don't know. She says, Lady E, please share about your TAP series and how it can help the Walking Dead.
Thank you, Lycian.
Okay.
Lycian is a part of Imagery International. She's been a part for about, I think maybe about 7 years now. And the Tap In series that we have going on right now it was supposed to be a 6-part series, and it's just going to go on until I finish having the ladies to tap in. But it's about tapping in and not tapping out. People tap out on life. And especially now with us going through what we've been going through through this pandemic, is some people that either they tapped in or they tapped out. Some people just got totally run over. There are people who just gave up, So my thing was to tap in, pay attention. It's a lot going on in our world, and it's a lot of disorder and confusion going on, and we all are affected by it. So the tap in series, the first is tap into you. When we talk about self-care, we talk about tapping in, first of all, really knowing who you are, tapping in, pretty much kind of what I'm talking about now. And then we tapping in spiritually, talking about the word of God and tapping in, uh, being in one with God, being one with God. And so that God can give us the increase. We had a tap in mentally, and we had um, a counselor, a licensed counselor from Chicago to come and speak to the lady. And she only got a chance to talk about two areas, which was anxiety and depression. And it was so rich. And we're just waiting for things to get better so we can bring her in physically, because I really, 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 the mind is just a terrible thing to waste. And for a lot of people, um, when it comes to mental illness, and it's real in the church, it's real outside of the church. It's real. Matter of fact, it's prevalent in the church, and we're acting like we don't see it. And we need to tap in mentally. Okay. There's tap in physically, taking care of your health, taking care of your body. There's we have coming up tap in financially, and we won't be doing that until next year because we really, really want to reach out in the community, uh, especially in African American community, because for 402 years, the people are perishing for the lack of knowledge. We don't know how to handle our money. We weren't taught about handling our money. And this is the generational curse at this point. And we need to tap in financially. So tapping in is just tapping in. Thank you, Lisanne. She was trying to get me to give a shameless plug.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so there was a question. Did we answer the question for Darlene Elliott? She said some stay in relationships because of fear. How do we break loose from fear?
Hmm. I would say faith over fear, but that has almost become a cliche, in my opinion, because I have great faith, but in while I was in faith, I have had, I have been paralyzed with fear. And I believe God and I love God and I completely trusted God. Um, I think the best for me, I only can go from what my experience has been. The only way I broke from that fear was to put my entire trust in God, and through prayer and fasting and waiting on Him to give me an answer to what my dilemma was. That is the only, because fear can be paralyzing to the point it's hard for you to think. Fear can cast you into depression, deep depression. Fear is our enemy. So I will say fear is an emotion, though. And so sometimes you have to say, I feel afraid. I feel this. But then you come back with, but I know. And with what you know that is true, what you know that the word of God says for you. And I don't have any other way, any other answer for this other than from a spiritual perspective, because that's always been my stay. That's always been my go-to, my trust in God, and me understanding that if it's nothing I can do about it, that I have to give it to God. And at that point, it's none of my business. And either I trust Him to show me a way out, or I don't. If I don't trust Him, I might be in the lurch for a while. So I would put faith over fear, but I don't want to say it in a way that it's a cliche. I want there to be understanding to faith over fear.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And sometimes we need a little help in getting out of some situations. And again, I like to refer people to our women, men, whoever, to our website. There is a form that you can fill out if you need help. That is wogww.org. So our organization offer strategies. They offer a plan, a safety plan. If you want to have a safety plan, you fear for your life. There's a lot of options out there. So if you want to know some of these responses to these questions, you can go to any organization. It just doesn't have to be Women of Grace, but advocates that are experts in that field that can help you and guide you into, freedom or healing. Because all organizations can do everything for all people, but there are some organizations that can help. And one of the things that we have with our organization, Women of Grace has, we have contracted therapists, licensed therapists, professionals, doctors that can help you with whatever situation that you're going through mentally, overcoming fear. The organization we have social workers that are, we call them case managers, that can help you work through a program to set up your plan of action. What do you want to do? What is your goal? What is your objective? And how do you want to get through this situation? So we're not telling people to leave your spouse. We're not telling people to stay with your spouse. That's not the plan of our organization. We're saying how you can make your real estate healthy and your mindset, get yourself together. So that's what we're working with. And like Lady E said, how to Roxy. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. Therapy takes time. But you can get through it. You can be a better person. You can win. And that's what this organization is talking about, Women of Grace. I'm so excited about having you, Lady E, this evening, and all the wisdom you share with us, all the golden nuggets that you share with us, that we can take away and help us with our real estate and help us to be better individuals. So if there's no more questions, okay. Are there any questions in the chat box? Check for our survey in the chat box. And I want to go to our end. Lady E, I thank you so much. If there's anything else you want to add, feel free. I want to go to our end slides where we're talking about some of the upcoming events that Women of Grace has. And thank you for leading us off, Lady E, with Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is October every year. And you'll hear a lot of organizations doing things. So upcoming events, the fourth quarter, the last quarter we had it was entitled Life Happens. And we talked about a lot of things last quarter. This quarter, we're going to talk about domestic violence, trauma, and behavioral health. So on October the 28th from 6 to 7 p.m., you don't want to miss it. We're going to, Dr. Gloria Johnson from Life Source Consultants is going to come over and be with us and talk about Domestic Violence 101. Understanding and responding to domestic violence. A lot of people don't understand that they're in as Lady E said, they're in a violent situation and they don't know how to get out of it. And so in November, you do not absolutely want to miss November the 20th, which is on a Saturday. We have a renowned guest speaker coming in November the 20th, and we will be at the Hilton Airport Hotel. She is a renowned speaker. She's known all over the world, all over the world. She's an advocate. She's a speaker, and she's a survivor. So she's going to offer training that morning. You are welcome to come to the training. You're going to have to register for the training, but you do not absolutely want to miss this lady. I've heard her before, and she had everyone standing up. Everyone in the room, men, women, everybody, at a state conference. She has just gotten back from France. She's getting ready to go to Ghana. So you want to be there. You don't want to miss this. You may not be in a domestic violence situation, but you may know someone that is. So you don't want to miss November the 20th at the Hilton. And in December, it's going to wrap up our quarter. We're going to have what we call the Therapist Roundtable. We're going to have actual therapists, doctors, people, experts in the field. If you need some help, we're going to have them there to talk about some ways that you can get some help. So you don't want to miss that one either. We thank you so much for being with us this evening. If there's any questions, any concerns, remember you can call us at 652-9196. There's a last slide that's coming up that's going to give you all of that information. I owe my appreciation to Lady Sonia Scott for being with us this evening. Thank you, Lady Sonia. And for my pastor who could not be with us in person because he's traveling, is our own Bishop Lee Scott. He is not only the president of Women of Grace in GIA Community Development Corporation, but he's also the pastor of the Lively Stone Church. And GIA Community Development Corporation was birthed out of the Lively Stone Church. We're so happy to be here. We're so happy to share with you. We will do this every month because people perish because of lack of knowledge. And that's why we're here to share it with you so you can be a better person and you can help someone else. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any concerns, you can always go to our website, wogww.org. Don't forget us. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And Lady E, we thank you. Thank you, Lady Sonia Scott. I love you all.
Love you.
Love you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Since in 94. At this point, I was homeless, sleeping beneath a bridge, eating out of a trash can. I couldn't go in anybody's house.